extremely rare, fortunately. It's not something that any of us, myself included, that can recall such a random act of violence in our community. So it's very disconcerting. But once again, it is an isolated incident, and my memory, I can't remember anything in my 35 years policing that even parallels anything close to this. So, you know, we encourage people to get on with their lives, and it is a safe community. This was, unfortunately, as I mentioned, a very tragic and serious event, and it's very hard on the people that were there. We are very, very thankful that we had two of our members within the Cornwall Centre that were able to react so quickly. We also are very appreciative of the work that the security staff did within the Cornwall Centre as well, and the community at large. Those that were in there, everyone, I think, did exactly what they needed to do in a very fast-moving, unpredicted event. So it wasn't foreseen, but yet, fortunately, there weren't more people that were hurt, and of course we have empathy for those that were. Yeah, there's absolutely no indication whatsoever that this is gang-related whatsoever.
Just wondering, knife crime in general, is that a concern in Regina? There's been a few stabbings lately, and then obviously Cornwall.
Well, every incident of violence is of concern, but I think it would be premature for sure to suggest that we're seeing a pattern being established. These are all unrelated incidents, which is important to note. And unfortunately, our community, there are often, every week, unfortunately, there's usually an occurrence with a bladed weapon. And in the overwhelming majority of those incidents, there's a known association between the offender and the victim. It doesn't diminish the seriousness of the crime, because they're all serious, but they're not random acts of violence. So this incident at the Cornwall Centre was very much something that we don't and have not experienced, and we're obviously very hopeful that we don't experience something like this ever again.
I'm wondering about, going back to knife violence, you said there's an incidence every week of a bladed weapon being used. How, as a police force, do you go about dealing with something like that?
Well, they're very unpredictable, and too often they're, as I mentioned, they're of a domestic nature or some sort of relationship between the offender and the victim. And often, too often, of course, once again, we've got alcohol and drugs or drugs present, and these things are totally unpredictable. Obviously, they're typically occurring. Once again, the overwhelming majority of these incidents are occurring within the confines of a private dwelling house or private area. So it's not an area that we're at unless we're called, obviously. So, you know, it really speaks to the broader issue of trying to work proactively to support those that have addiction issues, anger issues, and supporting young people, which has been very much a focus of our police service and the community for a number of years, to ensure that our young people in our community, regardless of their socioeconomic status, have opportunities.